All right. Let me put in a cough drop real fast. Got the cold going on.
Number one fan site for Impact Wrestling, TNAsylum.net, and Old School Dirty Heels Productions presents the TNA Asylum Heelcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the TNA Asylum Heelcast. This is week 21 of both Impact Wrestling and the TNA Heelcast. I am your host for today, Raven Effect, recapping May Mayhem. Now tonight we're running with a two-man crew, a two-live crew, as we have run into some issues. So our very own Wake Chambers, our producer, our editor, is on vacation right now. Our man numero 47, Mr. GQ47, the new Doctor of Style himself, is having phone issues last minute, which prevented numero from actually making the show today. So that leaves the computer illiterate Raven Effect here to do the editing. No, that can't happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, the man who basically has the voice of, let's say, a Pat Sajak and Alex Trebek, Ray Combs, going old school Family Feud for you. The game show host himself, TNA Dude, is actually stepping out to do the editing for the show so that we can get a quality show put out for you, ladies and gentlemen, this week. So, for my guest this week, the man who is literally so legendary that not one mortal body can hold this man. He needs multiple. Ladies and gentlemen, back for the very first time, the Chairmen.
Thank you for having me, Raven Effects. It's everybody's favorite boss, the Chairman. Yes, the legend is back to grace you once again on this legendary podcast. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to have my man, the Chairman, here with me. I think we're going to do a good show on a crazy week. Definitely a crazy week. Chairman, how you doing, my man?
I am great. I am doing great. I'm here to talk some TNA, maybe throw a little WWE shade there when we get to it. But hey, I love being here, so you want to get started?
Absolutely want to get started. So we got plenty of TNA to talk. That's what our listeners are here for, as we are a TNA show. One of the very few all TNA shows, and also a positive TNA show. Now, speaking of TNA shows, at TNA Asylum, we have multiple great features on there. But as usual, every week we have Straight Shooting with FK9. FK9 always has a great show. He's been doing this for a long time. True veteran, a guest of the show, friend of this show. Be sure to check out FK9's newest episode. He should probably also have one out later on this week on TNA Asylum and YouTube. Be sure to check that out. Speaking of YouTube, to all of our listeners here, we've always basically been exclusive to TNAasylum.net. However, ladies and gentlemen, the Heelcast, we're trying to become available in much more places. Now, the TNA Heelcast has launched on both YouTube and SoundCloud, as well as TNAasylum.net. So you now have three places to get at the Heelcast instead of the one that we've always had at TNA Asylum. However, TNA Asylum is always home. TNA Asylum is always home base. TNA Asylum will always get the premiere of the Heelcast. It will always be out hours before on the Heelcast before it hits YouTube or SoundCloud. Speaking of YouTube, you can also check out our interview with the DK members, Crazy Steve and Rosemary. If you haven't already, please check out Crazy Steve and Rosemary. Find out how TNA has been sleeping on Crazy Steve for so long, because the man is literally a mastermind. And we already know how great Rosemary is. Just a phenomenal interview. Gave me chills and creeps. I'll never be the same after this, but just an awesome interview. And seriously, if you haven't checked it out, see what they have to say about the Impact roster, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on here. To those of you who follow us on Twitter, to those of you who listen to our show, we still have the hashtag Revive the X Division campaign going on through change.org. Go to our Twitter page at the Heelcast, or just go to change.org. It's as simple as this. Click search, type in TNA Impact Wrestling. There will be the petition. If you want to see the X Division return to the form it used to be, to have the X Division pushed, and after the past 2 weeks, I don't know how you can't want to see it pushed. Go there, sign your name. You can remain anonymous, all that you want. Sign it. Help us get this to Dixie Carter, to John Gaburek, to Dave Lagana, to Bob Ryder. Let's make the change. Now, speaking of change.org, ladies and gentlemen, the petition to get Aiden O'Shea, the best wrestling character on the internet, some television time on Impact, is taken off. Last night during Impact, hashtag We Want Aiden was trending thanks to our friends at TNA Canada. However, the best part about this is that my petition that I started, that the Heelcast has taken over, the Pope himself endorsed this petition. So we had the Pope, one of the best talkers, one of the best characters in all of Impact Wrestling, endorse the petition for Aiden O'Shea yesterday. Now, the Pope knows talent, the Pope knows greatness. The Pope was the man who did all this. The Pope endorsed it, so why wouldn't you? Just go to change.org, search Aiden O'Shea, click on the link, sign your name on the petition, and let's get this just the way that we're doing Revive the X Division. And if the thing is, guys, if you're not high on Aiden O'Shea, follow him on Twitter, see how great this guy is. Or if you want to prove me wrong and say that he can't, then do it. Come back and say it to Raven Effect, say it to the Heelcast, say, look, I told you so. I told you this guy didn't have it and he failed. But the best part about this, guys, is Aiden O'Shea is not clamoring, he's not crying, he's not begging or being whiny, trying to get put on television. This was by me seeing how great the person is, seeing how nice of a guy he is, and seeing how funny he is, and doing something. And like I said, if you guys were in his shoes, being a human being, you would want to do the same for that person. Now moving on, so we can get to Chairmen doing the sound off. The only thing else to check out here on TNAasylum.net later is that later on this week, I'm going to drop my latest fantasy booking column of Nevermore. So with Nevermore, I've been very behind, guys. Been very busy with the show, with the podcast, doing interviews, Twitter, work, life, my animals, my wife. I'm a little behind, but basically I'm going to drop to you guys the continuation of it. It's basically the first 3 weeks of Impact following Sacrifice. So be sure to check that out at TNAasylum.net. Now, Chairman, I'm going to kick it off to you. We had our sound-off question about what you do or don't like on the show last week, and I'm going to let you go ahead and read all the responses that we got.
All right, yeah. Last week's question was a very interesting one and helpful one for the Hillcast, asking what do you like and don't like, and what would you like to see change? Some interesting responses from TNA Asylum. We have John, who said that what he likes about the Hillcast is that it feels organic, a show for TNA fans by TNA fans as much as he does. Hey, props to you, John. And, there isn't much he dislikes about the show. So, we have a big fan, TNA dude. His favorite parts of the show are Raven Effect's rants, post-censorship, and Numero 47's fashion reviews, and Wake Chambers calling everyone by their real names. I guess Wake is just like that. But his least favorite part is are repeatedly being suspended by TNA management and being beaten by his sisters, Crazy Steve, none of which they deserve. The count's response was he really enjoyed the show every week. If he had to pick a least favorite aspect, it would probably be the many times you guys get to bit herp and derp and pretend that he likes Grotto. And he also enjoys Raven's rants, which, fair enough, Raven's rants are legendary. I've had the pleasure of experiencing one being censored rants, guys. So trust me, the guy has a voice. From the YouTube responses, Dennis Core, what he likes about the show is that it's done very well from gathering material for the show, for all the sound bites and editing. He could tell that you guys put a lot of work into producing a single show, and it comes out top notch. And he also says TNA dude has the coolest voice he ever heard.
Thank you very much.
And Raven Effect, who doesn't care, and I'm censoring myself here, folks, who doesn't care and always tell it like it is. And we had one more really cool response from the Fupa Was Nice, a wrestling podcast that gives TNA a chance. Damn straight, my friend. And yeah, I would subscribe too. So that was this week's sound off responses, and I gotta say I liked them all.
I liked them too, Chairman. First of all, I want to thank everyone for listening. We're obviously reaching new listeners and getting bigger, which is amazing. And I want to thank everyone for their support, whether it's day one or you're just tuning in. A lot of these people are brand new from YouTube, but it's nice to hear that literally no one had really much of a criticism at all. The only criticism was, the count saying that Wake always says he likes Grotto, whatever you want to call him. We would like to call him a jobber, but that's not happening. But I didn't handpick these things to make myself sound great. So I just want to thank everyone personally for, the compliments and liking what I'm doing. So hopefully we can keep it up for everyone. So now, Chairman, here's where we go on, man. We got the TNA news stories for the week. A bit of a slower week that had some great news and kind of topped off with some bad news. But starting off, this isn't really TNA news, but Cody Rhodes has asked for his WWE release. Chairman, to you, is Cody Rhodes someone that you hope TNA pursues, or someone that you feel that they're going to go after or try and sign?
I would love if TNA got Cody Rhodes. I stopped watching the WWE back in 2011, but from what I remember, he had this really good gimmick after he broke his nose and wore this face mask and acted all grotesque. It was so much fun. He's a great wrestler, very athletic, and he's a Rhodes, the legendary Dusty Rhodes' son, brother of Goldust Black Rain, who had a short run in TNA for a while. I'd love to see him come in TNA. What are your thoughts?
Chairman, I think we kind of stopped watching WWE around the same time. 2011 is when I really started to get sick of it, but I still gave it a year because I was a diehard fan from '87 to about 2010. But so yeah, one of my last impressions of Cody Rhodes was the Dashing Cody Rhodes, where he was wearing the face mask and all that. I think Cody Rhodes is a good wrestler. I'm a huge Goldust fan. I always have been. Here's my thing with TNA pursuing Cody Rhodes is that I don't mind it at all. However, a lot of people will want to think that Cody Rhodes they hype this guy like he's a main eventer, like he's world champion material and all that. He's a very good wrestler. He's a pretty good promo. He's a good character and so forth and so forth. My thing with this is Cody Rhodes is bone scrawny. Now, you can go back and say however you want it, but the thing is, as much as I don't like to give the guy credit, when you look at Vince McMahon always says, this person doesn't look like he could kick anyone's ass in a real fight, and I'm sorry, but Cody Rhodes looked like someone that couldn't kick anyone's ass in a real fight. The guy is too skinny and scrawny. If you're bringing him in, absolutely, I'm all for it. I just don't see the main event, but I just don't want to see the guy being the TNA World Champion.
Oh, I was just about to say, I'm with you, but mostly it's because I think TNA at the top, TNA is stacked. EC3, Lashley, Galloway, Bennett. That's a lot of names, and I see no reason to just bring someone in, throw them at the top when TNA's issue is not the top of the card. Their issue is more like the mid card guys who, they'll give something here and there, but won't just fully commit to. If you get what I'm saying.
No, I absolutely get what you're saying. You mentioned those names, and you still didn't even mention. There's Jeff Hardy, there's unfortunately Matt Hardy, but there's Bram, there's Eli Drake in the wake. I feel Davey Richards is every bit the guy that should be at the top. I think he's the best technical wrestler in the world right now. He's clearly the best, I think, overall pound for pound in the ring performer in TNA. They are loaded at the top of the card, so it is hard to see a main eventer come in there. But we go from Cody Rhodes to another guy who definitely does.
Sorry.
What's it?
I'm saying blah. I don't like it already.
Yeah,
But
neither do I. But we're looking at a guy who definitely does look like he can kick someone's ass. Now,
I don't
there,
care.
so there was a tweet out this weekend from a certain Ryback, who said, "Who wants to see Ryback in the end zone, in the impact zone? I don't want to see him in the end zone playing for any football team myself, but he's already ripped off Goldberg enough as it is. But I don't want to see him in the impact zone either." And that was a question that he asked. Chairman, it sounds like you don't want to see Ryback in the
Well,
impact zone yourself. Is that correct?
there isn't a percentage that proves how correct that statement is. I mean, Rybotch, whatever you want to call him, keep him away from the TNA ring, please. I had my fill of Goldberg back in 1998. He's no Goldberg. No Ryback, please.
I got to agree with you 100%, Chairman. Again, we stopped watching the WWE kind of close to the same time, and I'll tell you, Ryback was a thing for a reason. I understand guys improve, and you look at a guy like Jesse Goddard, and he's just, Jesse Goddard is this guy that has just improved miles and miles and miles. But who's to say that Ryback hasn't? I know that he won the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Doesn't mean a lot anymore after guys like The Miz have had it, but man, he was just bad back then, and it's like this is literally
Well,
no one I
Burke.
want to see. And, I was never a Goldberg fan. However, I give the credit where it's due. Bill Goldberg, one of the biggest names in the history of the entire industry. But the last time that I saw a photo of Ryback, he was literally, I mean, the guy was a complete splitting image, absolute ripoff of Bill Goldberg, just down to the T. And it's just, feed me more is supposed to be who's next. It's just, it's awful. And, I guess maybe the guy's improved. Maybe he can cut a promo. Maybe he can do something. But good God, I do not want to see him come in and really run all over the Impact roster because the guy, judging by something I saw 4 or 5 years ago, he just, God, no, he's not a talent. He's no one I want to see in the Impact Zone.
I mean, I'm not huge I'm one of those people who's not too big on bringing in too many ex WWE guys into TNA in general. I just don't like that WWE style. It's too slow and boring for my taste. And then I've noticed, go look at anyone who's came to TNA from WWE after they shed that boring style. Look how much better they got. Go back and watch Christian versus Kurt Angle, Christian versus Samoa Joe, and then watch him. There isn't a singles WWE match that I've ever seen Christian be in that compared to the Angle or Joe matches in TNA or all the classics he's had. And he's like just a perfect example of, that's why I don't like that style in TNA. But Christian is ultra talented. Ryback is Goldberg 3.56782. You don't give a damn about him.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right there. And so let's stop giving a damn about him. Let's move on to what was some very good news this week. Now, a lot of rumors have went on. TNA lost their replay with Pop TV. That's been canceled. There's always going to be rumors around this time of year about TNA. And after the past 2 years, all Impact fans are very afraid after everything that's happened with the network. So Bradley Schwartz, the president of Pop TV, came out on Monday and did an interview with PW Insider. Brad mentioned that their partnership with TNA is good, that they have a multi-year deal with TNA, that it's their second highest rated show, and they don't know too many networks that are canceling their number 2 show, and that they don't really look at overnight numbers as the be all end all, and quite a bit more. So finally, we got some very positive news with TNA, with a TV deal. We can breathe for once, enjoy Impact. Maybe that was the case because the Impact ratings this week jumped up to the highest ratings that TNA has gotten on Pop TV, which is great. And after last week, like I said, after last week's show, who doesn't want to tune back in to see what's next? So it was great news for TNA. Chairman, you relieved and happy like I was?
Extremely relieved. I love when there's good news with TNA. I've watched this company for 12 years, and there hasn't been a single year that went by without this kind of stupid rumor. Anytime you crush this dumb rumor of TNA got canceled, TNA go out of business, blah blah blah, I'm all in. I'm happy. So you could spin this how you want, Mr. Meltzer, but not happening. This was awesome news. So congrats to TNA, and congrats for also getting your highest rated show so far this year on Pop. Let's keep the growth going, people.
Absolutely. Fantastic news. Great news. It's very relieving as a TNA fan. Personally, we should all be thanking Brad Schwartz from Pop TV for coming out and just flat out saying, hey, we like TNA. We have a good relationship. They're here to stay. Love that. Now, Chairman, I'm sorry to do this for a second here, but here's the thing. We see these comments and we get these feedback from the Heelcast listeners, and a lot of it is a lot of people saying that they love Raven's rants. Bear with me here, Chairman, because I'm going to have all of our listeners sit down and have a seat for story time with Raven Effect, baby.
Get them.
I'm about to get them. Look, here's the thing, guys. We get this positive news for TNA and we can breathe happy And it's like a big, huge victory for TNA and their fans, especially us on the internet who have to deal with just the most ridiculous bullshit and all these people that have no lives that want to watch TNA die. But the most disgusting and despicable thing that I saw to come out of it was basically right after this interview came out. Look, TNA fans hate Dave Meltzer and think that he, despises TNA and stuff, but really he kind of praised Impact, and the fact is Meltzer hadn't been wrong with a lot of his stuff, but this was just the man who last week that came out and said that TNA wrestlers are being told by management to tweet that morale is high, but really it's just so low that that's why they're asking it. And of course, sadly enough, people are going to believe something so absurd and stupid. But this was the worst, is Dave Meltzer took the interview and everything that Bradley Schwartz came out and said to be positive about TNA, twisted words around
like Wake the Snake Chambers
to make it sound like TNA, that Pop TV wasn't happy with TNA, and TNA was still in so much trouble and in danger of losing their deal, and on and on and on. It was disgusting. Now, Meltzer, the more that he goes by this and the more that he keeps this up, because that's what his subscribers and these people want to see, and that's what keeps paying him, the more that he goes and says the sky is falling on TNA, that keeps his loyal fan base, and that keeps getting him subscribers and gets him money. Impact Wrestling fans have got to stand up. You got to make your own opinion. You got to have a clear and open mind. Okay? Don't listen to what people are saying. Go out there, enjoy the product, and watch it with an open mind. And I think literally any wrestling fan can see that Impact Wrestling's putting on a good show almost every week. I've seen some great shows this week. Now, the last thing I want to say about this and Raven here's rant is that I actually encountered Mr. Meltzer for the very first time this week. Because I'm having a conversation with Davy Richards on Twitter. Like, I'm excited. I'm a huge Davy Richards fucking mark. Okay? I'm actually joking back and forth with Davy Richards. And so I say, Davy Richards basically said, I say, how on earth did these stupid rumors get started on the internet? Because someone asked Davy how if the rumors were true that he was leaving TNA, which I had never even heard. Okay? So Davy's joking with this person and says, yeah, I'm leaving to go work at a home improvement store, like a Lowe's or Home Depot. And like EC3 and Robbie E are getting tagged in it. Aiden O'Shea's getting tagged in it, and I'm joking with Davey. And, he says, oh, Eddie Edwards started this rumor. So literally my joke, ladies and gentlemen, is that breaking, Dave Meltzer reports that TNA Impact talents are leaving TNA for home improvement jobs in the Orlando area. So old Davey Meltz here literally retweets this and says, nice attempt at lying. Literally anyone can see that this is a blatant joke, and clearly, I'm fucking kidding around. Davy Richards is kidding around with me. Davy Richards is kidding around with me and having fun. Dave Meltzer literally cannot understand it. Impact Wrestling fans, TNA fans, wrestling fans. Just open your mind, be open-minded, give Impact a chance, support the business, watch it. TNA's putting out great shows, and it's just, don't listen to this, because literally this is how these guys make a living. They make a living off of insecurities and just trying to be leeches and trolls. So I'm going to end it with that, but that's Raven Effect telling it how it really is, guys. So speaking of disgusting and despicable moves, Chairman, I don't know if you're aware of this, but right after Pop TV comes out and says they're happy with Impact Wrestling and everything they've done, WWE announced today that Smackdown is going live. They're doing a draft and brand extension again. And of course, guess what night it's going to be on?
Tuesday nights.
Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
Now, the WWE has done plenty of fucking underhand moves that a lot of people don't realize or care or pay attention to really try and cut the rug out from TNA and kill them off. But this is literally icing on the cake, I guess. I mean, they are literally trying to ruin the entire industry. TNA has been their focal point. They won't even acknowledge this company, but trust me, there's a very strong coincidence here.
Oh yeah, no doubt. WWE has pretty much done this for as long as I've been a wrestling fan. Even before then, the Hogan era was before my time, but a lot of people don't realize that Vince pretty much bought up all the territorial stars and made promises he didn't keep. Or how about the extremely shady tactics that led to WCW being sold? You don't need to do much reading to find that that it's not as simple as Vince bought WCW for some crazy price, like, you know. And look at how WWE is just rating New Japan. You know, a lot of people would consider that one of the top wrestling companies in the world, and they just take up the stars like nothing. So this is no surprise. You know, they got a monopoly on the business, unfortunately. You know, I hate this company, but you know, I won't be watching. I don't care about the draft. They even have some of my all-time favorite wrestlers under their brand, and I still can't watch it because that company just, I despise that company. You know, especially ever since last year where they put out a tweet about using charity as marketing instead of charity for what it's actually for. I'm done with that. I don't know what TNA is going to do. I don't know if they're going to jump the gun and move Impact to Wednesday next week or something. Hopefully they don't. Hopefully they plan whatever they do from now until then. They plan it out. They think things through because they're building an audience, and I don't want them to waste that. So it's big news, yeah, but there's a part of me, that anti-WWE part of me, that just doesn't care. And it's not going to stop me from watching. That's all I got to say. But what are your thoughts?
Chairman, I think it's disgusting. I guess I'm not surprised. You know, I do have my worries, of course, because look, it may cause TNA and Pop TV to actually have to move channels. And look, if Smackdown, you know, especially with them going live, I mean, it can really, really, really damage and kill TNA's fucking numbers that they do on Tuesdays, especially after TNA gets a good thing. And I'll be honest, this show this week it didn't really justify living up to last week and getting this high of a rating. But let's hope people, you know, keep tuning in. But, you know, if TNA does have to move nights again, I mean, not only is that damaging enough, and here it goes again, but, I mean, the fact of the matter is neither Pop TV or TNA advertise well enough for them to have to take another move. You know, this is a company that literally NXT is trying to kill off the New Japans. They're not going to kill off New Japan, but they're trying to kill off the Luchas. They're trying to kill off TNA. You know, if ROH wasn't their little bitch that basically gave them whatever they wanted, they would kill off ROH too. But, you know, that may even happen now because Evolve is becoming their new little ROH from the sounds of it. You know, I've been part of this internet wrestling community since about 2010, and you know that's when Hogan came into TNA, and you know that's when I saw this hate and stuff. But you know, WWE started by blackballing anyone from going. You know, basically, if you were to come and work for TNA, you were not allowed to work for that company. They wouldn't sign you. You know, they were doing things like boycotting arenas, like if you hold TNA here, then we're not ever going to come and work for you and stuff like that. And I mean, this is just another thing. And you know, for like I said, for a company that they don't acknowledge its existence, they clearly are very well aware of it, and it's pretty terrible. And you know, it's despicable and disgusting. But hey, that's the devil itself, and that's why I encourage everyone. The book is called Ring of Hell by Matthew Randazzo. Seriously, any wrestling fan, I don't care if you're a TNA fan, a WWE hater, WWE fan, whatever, read this book. I've read plenty of autobiographies. I've read so much stuff on wrestling. I learned the most from this book, but this guy literally did a bunch of research on the entire business, people's backgrounds, people's lives. This guy followed Triple H and Stephanie around. You learn a lot more about the WWE than you thought you did. You learn a lot more about Stephanie as a person than you would think you know. And I just hope TNA survives, and go Impact. You're putting on a great show. Now, speaking of great product on TNA, we're going to move past and we're going to go to the good. Well, maybe not the very much so good. So, all right, Chairman, we open up Impact Wrestling this week, and Matt Hardy comes out looking legitimately like the fucking Bride of Frankenstein. And, you know, he comes out and cuts a promo. Yeah, like the Bride of Frankenstein is what he looks like, and just in this terrible, some sort of ancient accent, and God, I don't even know what to say here. But Chairman, I'm gonna let you give your thoughts on it, because really, just Bride of Frankenstein with some terrible acting, and that sums it up for me.
This storyline has fallen so far on its face. I don't know. It somehow just keeps getting worse and worse, in my opinion. You know, I like Jeff Hardy. He's not a good tackler, so he can't save it on the mic. I don't know what Matt is doing. I can't get over that, Brian. But okay, yeah. At least it's building to a pay-per-view match, something we haven't seen in 2 years. That's the only credit I can give something like that. But okay. Ah, man. Sorry, man. You got me with that one. But yeah, it's at least it's building to Slammiversary. That's the only thing I can really give it. Spud, uh, I think Spud and Tyrus are trying. Again, they're just stuck in such an awful storyline that I can't wait till this feud ends. This feud feels like it's been going on for 30 years now. You know, the brother versus brother thing just isn't working because Matt isn't working. And then, so yeah, and then I don't know. I don't care. I didn't care for anything until my man EC3 came into the picture. That's all there really is to say.
Yeah, you're right. Very good point. Look, the positive thing is TNA has actually built up to a match and building a pay-per-view, and they're clearly building to a Matt versus Jeff Hardy match, and the feud's been going on for a while. Yeah, I think in agreeing with what you're saying, I think Spud and Tyrus are trying, and I know that neither one of us are that high on Tyrus, but Spud is great. Um, I'm enjoying the new character. I like the funny, EC3 lackey a lot more of Spud, but Spud's doing good. You can tell he's trying. He's a great talker. But really, that just man. Here's the thing that I want to get out there is TNA needs to stop opening the show with Matt Hardy and his
Oh
segments,
God,
especially.
yes.
Yeah. Look, I'll give credit here that this was I've felt this way for a little bit, but the King of the Mountain podcast or King of the Mountain radio was the first time that someone actually really came out and said this. But he said, look, if this is the week that you're watching TNA, you're just giving it a chance, or you decide you're going to do it and flick through the channels or whatnot, and you see Matt Hardy on there, and like this is your opener. There's a good chance you're going to turn the channel and not come back to it because like man it's just bad. It's really really bad what he's doing, and like they got to stop opening with him. So then we move on. As you said, EC3 came out and saved the day. So we got EC3 versus Matt Hardy on this road to redemption. And Chairman, I'll let you give your thoughts on the match.
EC3 and Matt, they don't really have good match chemistry, so at most you could expect is decent. The only good things about this is that it feels the best storyline in TNA between Bennett and EC3. So anytime that these two are in the same vicinity together, it at least has my interest. But my big issue is why can't EC3 just get the win on Matt Hardy? Why does it have to be a DQ? I don't care if I know Matt is in this big feud as well, but why put yourself in a corner like that? It's you know the match, yeah, but it's EC3, so I can't hate on it too much. Oh, but it did lead to them the match at Slammiversary, which I might be looking at that match the most between the two, EC3 and Bennett, because man, I just love this feud. This feud is just so old school to me, I guess. Just two badass dudes who can talk, who can wrestle, and if Impact was 2 hours of these guys, yeah, I still watch. That's how freaking good they are.
Yeah, Bennett and EC3, I mean, they could literally do 2 hours worth of promos each week, and I don't think it would get boring at all. Mike Bennett has just been incredible in TNA. I mean, the ball dropped by ROH, and that's one of the things that ROH doesn't let people really do is just go out there and develop that character and get things over. Bennett's a guy that could talk people in the building. I have the same feelings that you did. Is that it's just like, why can he not fucking pin Matt Hardy? Like, I'm so frustrated with the fact that Matt Hardy beat him in won the world title. Like, that's the worst part of it all. But the fact that he was technically the one that really ended the streak. He won the title from him in the last man standing match, which was their best match by far, and that was actually a very good match. But you're right, they don't have very good chemistry in there. Their matches haven't been good. But I mean, Matt Hardy beats him in this cage, and Matt Hardy has this influence over creative, and it's so terribly wrong to see him just EC3 just doesn't pin Matt Hardy. It's just Matt Hardy. Okay, if it were Jeff, it would be understandable, but it's Matt.
Yeah, the
It's
way they treat Matt, man, you think this guy was like Stone Cold Steve Austin or Sting or something. I'm like, is
exactly.
Matt Hardy? My goodness.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's literally handfuls of guys that are much better on the roster than him. And you with Matt Hardy, it's like he literally was doing the best character or best character work of his entire career, but it was just so overexposed. And now he's doing like by far the worst character work of his entire career, and that's bound to get overexposed. But yeah, the saving grace was, Mike Bennett comes out and he says like, there's not going to be a rematch because on your Red Redemption you didn't pin him or make him submit, so you don't get this rematch. The stuff in the build with them is very good. I still think there's going to be something that comes up that we get EC3 against Mike Bennett at Slammiversary. I just wish that it wasn't a rematch. I wish it was for the very first time. And if Bennett were to get the pinfall on EC3 for the very first time EC3 had ever been cleanly defeated, not only beaten cleanly, but someone covering his body for the 1, 2, 3, is that I think that would just be so much better. But needless to say, we get a rematch. I'm sure Ethan will probably get the victory at Slammiversary if they do decide to pull the trigger, but who knows? Maybe they'll have some kind of multi-man match like a King of the Mountain or whatever, something along those lines, but we find out later that that's not it. But so going from something spectacular like Mike Bennett against the EC3 feud, we move on to the opposite of spectacular, as in Grado using a fucking turkey leg in a goddamn wrestling match. Grado versus Al Snow. Chairman, any
Uh,
thoughts on this?
yeah, two of the worst guys on the roster. What do you think? What do you think I'm gonna say about this? Don't even book this match. This is like, unless you want me to, and it's a street fight. Come on, TNA, you've done street fights. Go watch a street fight like Christian versus Rhino from Bound for Glory 2006. That's a
Amazing.
street fight. That's a street. This and then a turkey leg. Come on, that's WWE bad. Well, okay, WWE has done stuff like Donald Trump versus Rosie O'Donnell, so maybe not that bad, but that's still insulting. Come on, man. End this. I don't. What does TNA see in both of these guys? Can you clue me in? Somebody in the comments of any comment section, clue me in on what TNA sees in this. Whatever.
If any of our listeners have not watched TNA for a long time, what was it? The Motor City Street Fight, Christian Cage versus Rhino, fantastic match. Chairman is definitely referencing a match that you guys should check out. It's also funny and coincidental. So I've there. I'm a big ECW guy, and getting ECW stuff that's not WWE's stamp on it and cutting a lot out is pretty hard to do. But RF Video has pretty much released all ECW pay-per-view events and TV shows, and pretty much you can get anything on there. But I've been, really scouting on eBay a lot as of late. And yesterday, I popped in Hardcore Heaven 1997, which was actually the first ECW pay-per-view I ever ordered, by the way. But basically, Al Snow wrestles Rob Van Dam, and I'm watching this, and this is 1997. He comes to the ring, and Joey Styles says, Al Snow is a 34-year-old veteran. It is 2016, and TNA is featuring Al Snow prominently in matches. He's 53 or 54 now.
He's
So,
he's in better shape than some of the wrestlers. Great on.
oh, absolutely. Look, Al Snow is in the best shape of his entire life career, pretty much. Um, I've always been a fan of Al Snow. He's always been that guy that really, had everything, but just never really got to the level that you kind of expected someone with that talent to get in the business. Um, but he's in very good shape now. Al Snow's a good wrestler. He's still got it. Really, he does at 54. But he's 54. He's gray. He's not a good promo. I guess he's cutting a couple of good promos. But I mean, why is he featured prominently? But a guy like his student Aiden O'Shea is not. Um,
Yeah, good point. Oh
you know,
well, there's a certain debut that happened. So
there
maybe
was.
maybe he's gonna be a mouthpiece or something. So if it's leading to these guys being the force and Al Snow being the mouth, TNA might actually be going somewhere good with this.
Yeah, let's hope. And Al Snow as a manager is definitely something I can get behind. I'd like to see him also manage Aiden O'Shea, but guys, I don't think very many of us can really stand Grado or Mahabali Shera, but the Tribunal makes their debut and they save the match, and they come over as huge baby faces as they help Al Snow get the win over the terrible Grado and his turkey leg. The thing that okay, guys, so TNA Victory Road actually debuted this past week. I believe it was on Friday or Saturday night, but the Tribunal made their debut on Victory Road. I haven't seen it, but I can only imagine that Josh Matthews did the commentary for this match. So these guys come out and they do the distraction and they help Al Snow get the victory on Grado. And Josh Matthews is, who are these guys? So you're really not going to advertise your pay-per-view so poorly that you're not even going to acknowledge these guys that you technically commentated to an audience 3 days prior, 4 days prior. Needless to
Yes.
say, we got the debut of the Tribunal. We've heard about them for a while. Chairman, you got thoughts on these guys?
Hey, they look like some badass dudes. I know absolutely nothing of these guys. So this is like I want to see what TNA does with them. I want to see how they learn the ring. I have no judgments. The debut was good only because of who they helped win. But oh yeah, but what you said with Josh Matthews acting like, don't do that, TNA. Don't do that, man. Continuity. We're not when you do stuff like that. It makes it seem like you're telling me as a viewer that I'm an idiot, that I don't know what goes on outside of the show. So, be consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. Be consistent and advertise your product for God's sakes, try and make a profit off of these one night only shows. Try and tie them
Matt,
in.
I meant Raven. Have you seen these graphics?
I've
I
kind of
don't.
seen these graphics.
Yeah. I don't know where their promotional dollars are going. Uh, maybe they have none, but there's some that if there's one thing outside of the TNA product that drives me nuts, it's that they can't promote for anything.
Uh, it's almost like they refuse to. And yeah, I mean, technically, you said what I was going to say was I don't know that they have any promotional dollars or that they've ever tried to use them. So it's just, man, it's bad. And you'd think they do something. And not only the fact that on Victory Road, there's Bobby Roode versus Pepper Parks with Cherry Bomb in his corner, but now it's Alley, and apparently, God, I can't remember what he's called. It's better than Pepper Parks, I guess, but still not the
Only because
best.
Pepper Park sounds like a knockout.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a knockout. That was what I thought. But hey, I'm excited for Pepper Parks and Alley, I guess. So hopefully we'll see one of them next week. So the next segment we get, Chairman, is basically fight Bobby Lashley, calling out Galloway, Dixie Carter coming out, and we get the main event for Slammiversary made. I guess I'm going to let you go ahead and explain the storyline for those who maybe haven't caught it or seen Impact as of late and give your thoughts on it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the way that they're building this one is that anytime these two come across each other, they just pretty much fight. Like a couple weeks ago, they had to fight in the MMA gym. Last week they fought the Open Impact in the parking lot. So it's kind of like, so this one is kind of being built more like a fight, more so than a wrestling match. So the way that they had it done for this week's Impact was you had Dixie Carter pretty much announcing that they'll be in a knockout or tap out match, which is, I'm guessing, is like you either win by knocking the opponent out or making them submit, which is actually a pretty cool gimmick match. I personally have really liked this build. My favorite kind of feuds are the ones like these because, the way that I see it, it doesn't make sense if you hate somebody so much that you just wait till next week to beat them up. If you hate them, do what they do. Show up and just beat the shit out of each other. So that's what I'm liking about this feud. And I actually do want to see how they're going to book this one because, I don't want to see Lashley get knocked out, but if he submits, I'll be cool with that. If Lashley's going to win, I can see him win both ways, submission or knockout. But if they're going to have Lashley win, let him do the craziest spear you can think of. I don't know how you're going to do it, but have it something, maybe he does a spear off the ropes or something onto the steps. I don't know. But make it a memorable knockout.
Yeah, I like the sounds of that. Definitely, I'm sure they can think of something creatively. And yeah, let's see, Lashley just spear the living shit out of Galloway, maybe, onto some objects or something along those lines. But, it gives an MMA kind of feel to this match. Obviously, the best part is that we know the main event for Slammiversary, what is it, 3 weeks ahead of time or so? And they've been building to this, and they've been building to Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy for a while now. So props to
Doesn't
TNA
that
for
feel
doing
good?
this.
Doesn't that
It
feel good?
it
I mean,
does feel good.
yeah, not building to anything for so long other than like a every week's Impact main event. It just feels so good to look forward to something.
Oh, absolutely. It's nice. Look, Slammiversary's got my money for sure.
Same
The
here.
I Yeah, definitely. And I mean, honestly, man, when is the last time Slammiversary hasn't been great?
Oh, that's a really good point. That is a really good point. 'Cause off the top, 2013 was really good. That one had the Sting and Bully Ray main event with the
Yeah,
really
and the
good
great Taryn
undercard.
and Gail Kim match.
Yeah. 2014.
That's literally saved the company for me because
Yeah.
I was ready to change.
Oh
I was ready to
yeah.
tune out.
Oh man, that first half of 2014 was, whew, that
Yeah,
was that was the worst. Literally the worst.
yeah, that is the
And
worst product.
last year had the Magnus and James Storm kill it in their brawl. So yeah, good
Classic.
point. So but you want to move on to some X Division action?
Yeah, I want to give props though, real quick, and just say that Galloway versus Lashley it's a very original match. You don't see this a lot. I like the fact that TNA is doing a weigh-ins. That's something that the Count and myself have kind of been hoping to see come and be done. Kind of like they do in the UFC for a while. I guess we'll do predictions here in a couple of weeks when we head into Slammiversary, but I really don't know who they're going to have go over. I'm kind of thinking, it's going to be a way to really give Galloway that rub to get over, but Lashley's looked unstoppable. Lashley, I think, is either one fight away, maybe fighting like a Matt Mitrione or Czech Congo and getting a win there before getting the Bellator heavyweight title shot. But if you remember December, January, he said, I'd like to fight for the Bellator title with the Impact Wrestling World Championship out on my shoulder, come out like that. So it's really up in the air, and it's hard to say who you think's going to win. So they've done good building that up, but you're talking the X Division match, and man, that stole the show. Let's have you take it and just awesomeness.
Yes. First of all, before we get into the awesomeness, I have a big gripe with this match. TNA, stop booking these short gimmick matches. You know, these matches are just freaking awesome. You got dudes doing some of the craziest spots you could think of, and then it ends. And I'm always with this feeling of, did, did I miss something? Did it fast forward? Why is an Ultimate X match 5, 6? This match couldn't be more than 6 minutes. That's my only gripe. But, but for the time they had, they went balls to the wall. Uh, Man, just so. Oh, and the ending, the way that the ending is with Helms helping Trevor Lee take the belt. No, no, no. Uh, Hold on. Hey, edit this part out.
Hell no! You do realize this is the Heelcast, right?
Yeah, the way that the match ended, you had Eddie Edwards. He grabbed the belt, but the ref was being distracted, so Trevor Lee's pretty much stole it from his hands. You've got an easy rematch for a very interesting Ultimate X match if you're going to go that route for a Slammiversary.
It was a little too short. I think it absolutely stole the show. I think this Impact was solid at best, and I think this match alone is the reason it got a solid rating instead of a bad rating for me. This was awesome, man. These four, just props. I can't give enough credit to these guys, and DJZ has improved so much. The guy is tearing it up, and Eddie Edwards,
Yes, he has, man.
I think Eddie and Davy are literally two of the greatest wrestlers in the world. I think both of them are being underutilized because I think that they're both should be single stars, and I've been screaming for Eddie Edwards to be the X Division champion for a couple years now. While the ending was cheap, it was also pretty clever and well done. Kind of hard to believe at times, but also very well done. It's hard to believe when the ref can just look up and see Eddie Edwards is sitting there on the, like Eddie Edwards is literally in the same fucking spot in the air. But it was very good while it happened. Hashtag Revive the X Division lives for a reason. Maybe TNA is starting to,
Division.
yeah, and this is key example why TNA has to revive the X Division, because it just literally it saved the entire show. You have a very good point. What I wonder what can they do now at Slammiversary for the X Division Championship, because they just gave away Ultimate X with those four. Maybe they do just single match Eddie Edwards versus Trevor Lee, or maybe they do another Ultimate X or Elevation X. But there's Tigre Uno out there. There's Caleb Conley. There's Mark Andrews, who's so desperately underutilized. A lot of people think Marche Rocket, Mr. M80, is going to go to the X Division. I don't know that he's an X Division style of wrestler, but there's some options out there. It's just hard to think of what they're going to do. But hashtag Revive the X Division. I want to see Tigre back, and I want to see Mark Andrews back very bad.
Great point about, like, this is the perfect example of why we have the Revive the X Division movement going on. Because personally, I feel like it is criminal that it was that short. As awesome as it was, and I don't mean to be negative here, but I just want people to see my point. Like, the Ultimate X match has been such a big deal for this company, and it's never ever ever a bad match. I just feel like with the company in the shape it's in, having their largest rated show, I just think that it would have been more if it was just a little bit longer. That's all I'm saying. Great match. We could be on the brink of an X Division revival once we get people like Tigre Uno back in the mix.
Absolutely. Sign Shinron too while they're at it. But moving on now, we had earlier on in the night Maria Kanellis, who's been fantastic all year long, has a promo where she was introduced by Allie, aka Cherry Bomb. She called out Gail Kim, and in a disgusting, just waste of time, they put over Velvet Sky and got the fans to pop for, I want to go to WWE so bad, I can't improve in a match, Velvet. But it basically leads to Gail Kim coming out, getting upset for firing Velvet, which leads to a match later on that Maria's kind of pulling her weight around, where if Gail loses to Sienna, she gets fired. Now Gail ends up winning via roll-up. Maria starts beating on Gail after the match with Allie and Sienna try to stop her. Chairman, what do you think of the match? Do you think it's going to maybe lead to some ramifications for Maria after getting physical with Gail Kim?
This is sort of reminding me of how Taryn Terrell became a knockout wrestler. You remember, she was a referee, then all this stuff happened. I believe it was Madison Rayne though, who ended up getting Taryn in the ring. I could be wrong on that, but whatever the point is, I don't think Maria will be wrestling. This is probably going to end up getting Allie in the ring actually, but this was a confusing. I don't like the whole if Gail loses she's fired thing. Why not put Jade in that spot? And why have Sienna lose? Again, what was that's Sienna, she's big and tough. She's got a great looking finisher, but if there's anyone who I trust to at least get a great match out of this, whatever it's leading to, it's Gail Kim. That's the one huge plus, is that I think we're going to get something great.
Yeah, absolutely. Gail always puts on a good match. I was kind of always thinking, basically, whoever Maria's protege is, they do a match at Slammiversary, maybe for the Knockouts title. Maybe not, just because I kind of don't want Gail to have the belt again, because she's had it for so long. And, there's Rosemary, there's Jade, there's Sienna out there. But, if Gail Kim beats this person, whoever the knockout is, then she gets 5 minutes alone in a match with Gail Kim, or she gets 5 minutes alone in a match with Maria Kanellis. Kind of like how they used to do stuff in the 80s and 90s, sort of a thing, where finally Hulk Hogan gets his hands on Bobby Heenan or whatnot, sort of a thing. But Maria's doing great. Gail Kim always has a great match with someone. I'd still like to see her and Jade really get the time that they deserve to go out there and have that really good match. But Sienna, who's been booked so strong, eats her first defeat. It wasn't by the eat defeat though. It was just a roll up. So I guess, it didn't make her look too weak, or like Gail absolutely knocked her unconscious and got the 3 count or whatever. But I think Sienna and Gail could have a much better match than they were allowed to at the time. But the Knockouts division has still been so much better, and I can't complain a whole lot at the improvement, and just from where it was at the start of this year, last year, the year prior. I mean, it's been a long time since the Knockouts have been as strong as they are. It's good to
True.
see. I'm glad the Knockouts are in there, and who doesn't want to see Allie Cherry Bomb get in the ring here pretty soon?
Yeah, that's one thing that I can say about TNA is that if it does, is it me or does it feel like a lot of stuff is building towards the future? Tribunal, Alley, Trevor Lee, just so many fresh faces and new names that I find myself thinking, I can't wait to see what happens when TNA really lets them go.
Yeah, as much as I don't like it because I miss the vets, and I still think that, a lot of the vets were still in their prime and had a lot to give. And I look at James Storm, and I really, really fear that they don't have a lot in store for the guy. And I think the guy should be world champion and main eventing still, and he deserves it. But there definitely is a new TNA. There's a lot of fresh faces. There's a lot of positives for a roster that, kind of stunk at one point. The talent right now is great. And, the new talents that they are bringing in, well, of course, we want to see guys like Killer Elite Squad, Shinron, other people in there. They've done really well with the people that they've brought in. And especially the knockouts have been, they've made some great choices with these knockouts, especially with Rosemary, Maria, Allison Kay, Cherry Bomb. But then there's another knockout that, you know, appearance wise, they made a good choice on, but as far as talent and as we learned, acting skills, they may have made a big mistake. As we get the guru, Raquel, who was in this really ridiculously bad segment with the Bromance, and I'm kind of doing this on purpose because during Raquel's segment yesterday, she literally says, if you guys want to get the tag team titles, just poor acting. She forgets the word titles, but now we have the Bromans apparently with some guru in the gym, and this just fell flat and awful for me. What did you think of it, Chairman?
This went with this little segment, it did kind of give me this little realization that TNA is trying to give people something to do. That at least Raquel and the Bromance aren't just sitting around being bland tag team and bland knockout number one. But yeah, if you're TNA, you're taping a segment, have her reshoot the line. What? If it was live, okay, I get it. You can't do anything about that. But man, but like I said, at least TNA is trying to give everyone something to where that they're just not, bland guy number 6. That much out. That's the only thing I could really say.
Yeah, you're right there. Unfortunately, they're stuck in a vine where they had a pretty good tag team division again for once, and EY and Rude left the company, and two of the greatest tag team, or two of the better tag teams they had, were gone.
Why must
And
you
there's
remind me of that?
exactly. I'm sorry, man.
Oh man,
So,
Black
you know,
Day in TNA.
yeah, probably the worst I can remember. But so literally the Bromans, other than the Wolves, the Bromans are literally, it's as far as babyface tag teams to challenge a decay. It's either the Bromans or Grado and Shera, and trust me, I'll take the Bromans any day. I will say this: the Bromans, as babyfaces, have improved to me. I think in the ring, the chemistry is there. Jesse Goddard has improved a lot as a wrestler. Robbie's always had it as a wrestler. He's just the Jersey Shore thing is just a bad, bad, bad gimmick. But I mean, good God, you bring in a girl like Rosemary, where her acting is like she could actually be in movies. She's so damn good. But then you get Raquel, and I understand English not being, the language she apparently grew up with. But shit, she is a bad actress, just awful. And she's very raw and green in the ring. But let's hope they just kind of give her the Miss Elizabeth treatment and just stand there and look beautiful and don't say much. And so going from that beautiful thing, we see another beautiful thing in Rebby Sky. I just really wanted to take a brief second here to point out that During the segment, you can see Baby Maxwell just full on copping a feel on his mom, making every man out there jealous, except for Matt fucking Hardy. You got to be kidding me! But as we leave Matt Hardy and his big boobs and his wife's big boobs, we transition to the main event with Tyrus's big boobs teaming up with Rockstar Spud in a 2-on-1 ladder match against Jeff Hardy. If Jeff Hardy wins, he gets the Full Metal Mayhem match against his brother at Slammiversary. If he loses, a 2-on-1 ladder match. Just think about it for a minute, everyone. How easy it would be for the team with two people as opposed to one to just have one guy fight him, have Spud, of course, go up the ladder and get the contract. Matt Hardy wouldn't have to fight Jeff at all. But we see Jeff win. We get our match, our second main event or whatever for Slammiversary. And what'd you think of this, Chairman?
I don't like the way TNA books ladder matches. I'm going to keep beating that horse until they do something about it. Stop booking these short ladder matches that doesn't really do much. At least there was a nice little funny spot with Tyrus breaking the, I guess one of the steps on the ladder. That was pretty funny. And the "you're too fat chant going on and all that. That was pretty funny. That was the highlight of the match. This was about as predictable as it comes. And, the saving grace for the Full Metal Mayhem match is that it's Jeff Hardy in his type of match. So at least you know you're going to get something good out of it. But the main event, this story just isn't doing it for me. And as a result, the matches just don't do it for me because I just can't be interested. Once I see Tyrus or Matt Hardy in the ring, I'm just like, no, Lord, please do something about this. If it was just like Jeff versus, and then a handicap ladder match, and like you said, the logic behind it of have Tyrus push Jeff and beat up Jeff and it's, I don't know. This is just one of those things where I've said this a couple times tonight, but why book it like this? The show was actually okay for me for the most part until this main event. But just we need to start a hashtag get Matt Hardy out of here.
That may actually be the next Old School Dirty Heels petition. But Chairman, you definitely pull up some good points, and it was a very short ladder match, and I understand it was Mayhem, but there was a lot of gimmick matches last night, and really none of them were very good, other than the Ultimate X. But for some reason, it was a special show, I guess, because the last week of May means a lot to, I don't know, but too short of ladder matches, too short of King of the Mountain match, too short of Ultimate X match, a street fight that just really had a trash can lid and a turkey leg. But yeah, the concept of that ladder match is just mind-blowing. The only regret I have about that match is that I literally didn't pay enough attention, and I've heard about Tyrus breaking a rung on the ladder. I didn't know about the "you're too fat" chants. I wish I would have seen that. I'm actually going to go pull Impact off of my DVR to just actually watch this and see it. But the positive here is that, yeah, TNA did build to a match. Hopefully this Matt and Jeff Hardy feud is going to be over after this. I doubt it, because I'm sure we're going to get some terrible Matt Hardy promos afterwards, because Matt Hardy is with creative and he hogs all the TV time. But like, I've seen Matt against Jeff twice in the WWE in a feud. A lot of our viewers, a lot of our listeners, a lot of Impact viewers haven't seen it. Like Wake Chambers hasn't seen it for one. But the bright part that I'll say of this is if there was a match that I wanted to see Matt against Jeff Hardy, and it would be a Full Metal Mayhem, aka Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, for those of you not familiar with that. And that's the only bright part I can come and think of it, because it is kind of their match in a lot of ways. It's always really a fun match. Hell, I'll give Matt Hardy props every time he's been in a solo one this year. In his TNA career, they've been good. Jeff Hardy always is great. I'm sure these guys will do a pretty damn good match of it. And that's really the only positives I came out with that. Feel bad for Rockstar Spud, guys, but bad main event, TNA. But overall, good show, I guess, solid enough. Do you think it was a pretty solid show, or what would you say?
Yeah, I'm going solid, like a thumbs in the middle type of show. There's you know what? scratch that. What made it good for me is that they're building to the pay-per-view. That's such a plus. I haven't seen that in 2 years. That I'm giving I like to give TNA props. Hopefully somebody hears this podcast and be like, TNA fans like building the pay-per-views. Let's do more of that, people. So, thumbs up for building towards the show, but some of the booking decisions, I didn't like.
Well, absolutely. Very good to build to a pay-per-view event. Very good build. Let's hope Slammiversary is a success, as I feel it's going to be a great show. Overall, 2016 so far has actually been the best year for TNA since 2009, and we're going to leave you guys with that. Hope you enjoy Impact Wrestling. Now, our sound-off question for the week. Not only, we're trying to find out, Heelcast fans, do you want to call yourselves Heelians, Heelcasters? What is it? Let us know that. But our real send-off question here was something that the chairman and myself discussed earlier today. Cody Rhodes and Ryback. I know there's a lot of people that like Ryback out there, so let's call him his real name. With Cody Rhodes and Ryback becoming available, are these two people that you want to see in TNA in 2016 and beyond? Sound off on TNAasylum.net in the comments section. Sound off, hit us up at YouTube. Check us out on SoundCloud as well. We are all over. And also, feel free to hit us up on Twitter. Follow us at TNA Heelcast. You can follow me at Raven Effect TNA. I want to thank our special guest who is back for the first time, my main man, the chairman. Great job as always. Thank you for analysis. Thanks for joining us, bud.
Man, hey, thank you for having me, man. It's always a pleasure to be on the best TNA podcast on the internet, on the planet. Let's start sending this podcast to Dixie. Just saying. I think we got some good ideas, some constructive criticism, but all jokes aside, it's always great to be here. So thank you for listening, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Great points. Also, I'm just going to throw it out and endorse it. Follow TNA Dude at TNA_Dude on Twitter. Heelcast listeners, followers, TNA Impact fans, thank you very much for tuning in this week for May Mayhem's recap in addition. Have a great week, everyone.
Hey, Heelcasters and Heelcast hotties, TNA Dude here. Now, my buddy Raven Effect is right. You have been asking for an unabridged version of one of his legendary rants. Of course, we are heels, right? So grab a bag of popcorn and snuggle in, because here we go.
Now, Chairman, I'm sorry to do this for a second here, but here's the thing. We see these comments and we get these feedback from the Heelcast listeners, and a lot of it is a lot of people saying that they love Raven's rants. And a great part was you edited it, but my man Danish, I believe it was Danish, basically said that there's Raven Effect who doesn't give a fuck and tells it like it is. So I'm going to tell you guys like it is. So bear with me here, Chairman, because I'm going to have all of our listeners sit down and have a seat for story time with Raven Effect, baby.
Yeah, get him.
I'm about to get him. Look, here's the thing, guys. We get this positive news for TNA, and we can breathe happy, and it's like a big, huge victory for TNA and their fans, especially us on the internet who have to deal with just the most ridiculous bullshit, and all these people that have no lives that want to watch TNA die. But the most disgusting and despicable thing that I saw to come out of it was basically right after this interview came out. Dave Meltzer is a man that I have actually stood up for on TNA Asylum and TNA sites, because the TNA fans hate Dave Meltzer and think that he, despises TNA and stuff. But really, he kind of praised Impact, and the fact is Meltzer hadn't been wrong with a lot of his stuff. But this was just the man who last week that came out and said that TNA wrestlers are being told by management to tweet that morale is high, but really it's just so low that that's why they're asking it. And of course, sadly enough, people are going to believe something so absurd and stupid. But this was the worst, is Dave Meltzer took the interview and everything that Bradley Schwartz came out and said to be positive about TNA, twisted words around to make it sound like TNA that Pop TV wasn't happy with TNA, and TNA was still in so much trouble and in danger of losing their deal, and on and on and on. It was disgusting. But people can say Dave Meltzer stands up for TNA and praises Impact and all of that, and he probably does. I've seen some stuff where he praises Impact and says that it's good. But the fact of the matter is that Dave Meltzer hangs his hat and he relies and lives on the sky is falling notion for TNA. And do you know why he does that, ladies and gentlemen? He does that because his fan base, the people that subscribe to his newsletter that give him money, are literally these fucking parasites on the internet who live in their mother's basements, who have no life but sit around and watch pro wrestling and haven't had a date, haven't lost their virginity, haven't showered in weeks. People like this, literally, these parasites have nothing better to do but to sit around and hope that TNA dies because, frankly, they're still stuck in the 90s in the Monday Night War, and their initials are not WWE. It's simple as that, and that pathetic. Now, Meltzer, the more that he goes by this and the more that he keeps this up, because that's what his subscribers and these people want to see, and that's what keeps paying him, the more that he goes and says the sky is falling on TNA, that keeps his loyal fan base, and that keeps getting him subscribers and gets him money. If he started to say that TNA was A-okay and don't need to worry about anything, those parasites wouldn't have anything to do, and the fucking sky would actually legitimately be falling on their lives. They would almost go out and try and get a job and cut their hair for once and maybe use deodorant, but that's not going to happen. It's disgusting, and this is literally the internet, these wrestling websites out there that take the dirt sheet information to get fucking payoffs from Vince McMahon to hold down TNA like a disgusting site like Wrestling Inc. does, where they literally are so in bed with WWE that you can actually type in Wrestling Inc. once a month and get 25% off at WWEshop.com. This is why there's a such thing as a TNA stench, and it's pathetic. And look, Impact Wrestling fans have got to stand up. You got to make your own opinion. You got to have a clear and open mind. Okay? Don't listen to what people are saying. Go out there, enjoy the product, and watch it with an open mind. And I think literally any wrestling fan can see that Impact Wrestling's putting on a good show almost every week. I've seen some great shows this week. Now, the last thing I want to say about this and Raven here's rant is that I actually encountered Mr. Meltzer for the very first time this week. Now, much like these people that we come across on the entire IWC, they're literally so socially challenged and awkward and just bad that some of them just literally, you can exaggerate something so obliviously obvious that it's blatantly, you can totally see someone joking or whatnot. And they just don't get it because literally they live in this little wrestling world in their mom's basements. Dave fucking Meltzer is the same way. So, because I'm having a conversation with Davy Richards on Twitter. Like, I'm excited. I'm a huge Davy Richards fucking mark. Okay? I'm actually joking back and forth with Davy Richards. And so I say, Davy Richards basically said, I say, how on earth did these stupid rumors get started on the internet? Because someone asked Davy how if the rumors were true that he was leaving TNA, which I had never even heard. Okay, so Davy's joking with this person and says, yeah, I'm leaving to go work at a home improvement store, like a Lowe's or Home Depot. And like EC3 and Robbie E are getting tagged in it, Aiden O'Shea's getting tagged in it, and I'm joking with Davy, and he says, oh, Eddie Edwards started this rumor. So literally my joke, ladies and gentlemen, is that breaking, Dave Meltzer reports that TNA Impact talents are leaving TNA for home improvement jobs in the Orlando area. So old Davey Meltz here literally retweets this and says, nice attempt at lying. Literally anyone can see that this is a blatant joke, and clearly, I'm fucking kidding around. Davey Richards is kidding around with me. Davey Richards is kidding around with me and having fun. Dave Meltzer literally cannot understand it. This literally led to the most psychotic human being on the planet spamming me and attacking me on Twitter to where I had to block it instantly. And I legitimately hope this person gets mental help, but I'm not going to drop names or mention anything. But Meltzer is a parasite and a leech, and he feeds off of these insecurities that these WWE fans have. And seriously, Impact Wrestling fans, TNA fans, wrestling fans, just open your mind, be open-minded, give Impact a chance, support the business, watch it. TNA's putting out great shows, and it's just, don't listen to this, because literally this is how these guys make a living. They make a living off of insecurities and just trying to be leeches and trolls. So I'm going to end it with that, but that's Raven Effect telling it how it really is, guys.
But if only that was how he left it. You see, folks, because just about an hour after this show ended, I got an email from Raven Effect. Reads like this. Hey dude, so I just did an additional 2 minutes to add to my rant on Meltzer at the end. I thought about it and realized that my entire point about him not grasping sarcasm was never made, as I worried about stealing too much time away from Chairmen and being strapped for time. But I added, because it is super critical to the point I was trying to make, and hopefully it opens eyes of some people. Sorry to make your life harder. It's added to the drive. So folks, you see, Raven Effect is the Energizer Bunny of TNA rants. He just keeps going and going.
Now for you folks listening here, look, the reason that I say that Dave Meltzer can't understand sarcasm, and the reason that I bring this up is because this is a point that I'm trying to make. Dave Meltzer comes on and he says, one of his responses that he says to another guy on here is that he says TNA, who challenges him about TNA's morale, okay? So Dave Meltzer tells this guy, he retweets and he says, his name is Ryan Olivier, by the way, he's a great person, great TNA fan, great dude. So he responds to Ryan and he says this, he says, yes, you're right, morale isn't low, that's why Eric Young and Bobby Roode left, and that's why I get calls from people every week telling me that morale is low. So here's the thing, guys, look, for one, think about this. When has the TNA roster been together every week? The TNA roster has not even been together. TNA hasn't had tapings or anything in over a month. So for him to be saying that he's getting calls every week from TNA talents to call in and say, hey Dave, morale is low. They're not even together. So okay, that's some horse shit to start right there. Okay. Second of all, which I responded to him and I said, okay, so you just have a bunch of Impact talents calling you every week and saying, hey Dave, morale's low, talk to you later. Okay, don't believe it, because A, it doesn't make sense. You can't buy into it. And the point that I brought up about him not understanding sarcasm is, he talked about, when I was at WrestleCon, someone walked by me and said, Dave, morale really is so low there in TNA. Look, anyone can walk by him and just say, hey Dave, morale's real low in TNA. When the guy can't grasp sarcasm, and obviously see that it's sarcasm when someone's fucking with him like that, or if they were fucking with him like that just to make a joke, because it's becoming a running joke, because he is reporting it as fact, but I'm just saying, look, the guy literally couldn't grasp blatantly obvious sarcasm, and a lot of the people that he feeds and, gives information to these leeches about, they don't really grasp sarcasm either. So take some of these things with a grain of salt, and trust me, I'm no journalist, I'm not, I don't have connections to the business, I'm just telling you obvious facts. So don't believe this TNA stench, don't believe everything you listen, don't believe everything that you hear or read, especially from these dirt sheets, because literally, these are propaganda pieces, this is paparazzi journalism and garbage at best, so please keep your open mind, as most TNA fans do. Just spread the word about how good TNA has been. Stay positive, have fun, enjoy Impact. Look forward to Slammiversary. And we're done.
Finally.